Soundtracks. It has become one of my go-to music genres, and here's why I think it should be one of yours too. Now wait, hold on a second. I know there's a good chance you're probably thinking of an old white guy in a fancy tuxedo waving his hands in front of an orchestra. After all, that's what probably most people think when they hear the term film music. And while the orchestra is indeed a popular tool for film composers, orchestral music is one of the many styles you can find in film music. By the way, that old guy in front of an orchestra you might thought of, his name is John Williams and he is a musical god. So let me tell you why film music became my go-to music genre. First rule of film music. Film music can be any type of music. Great film composers are storytellers. And just like a film director, they only care about one thing: to help tell the story of a film. In film music, a composer can write any type of music, as long as it helps tell the story of the film. For example, the TV show The Knick takes place in New York City in the early 1900s. Instead of being restricted by the story's time period, composer Cliff Martinez opted to write a modern electric score by utilizing electronic software emulators. So why can a story set in the early 1900s have a modern electric score? Well, here's what director Steven Soderbergh said on utilizing music from the 1900s. Oh, it was horrible. Aesthetically, it's a really cool period, but the music was absolutely boring and not interesting. Ragtime had just started, and there's a tiny bit of that in the background of some scenes, but other than that, there was nothing good. Soderbergh had a specific vision of how he wanted to portray New York City in the early 1900s. One of the things I liked about the material was how non-nostalgic it was, said Soderbergh about the series. I think that's something Cliff picked up on too. At no point does the show take the position that it was a nice time to be alive. There's no nostalgia. Your overwhelming sense watching the show is one of happiness that you're living in 2014. I wanted to make sure that's what people were feeling. That's why Martinez was able to compose an electronic score for a story that is set in the early 1900s. It helped tell the story. This is one of my favorite aspects of film music. It is what gives film composers the freedom to do what they want. If a composer decides to, say, bang on a stainless steel mixing bowl to create film music, he sure can, as long as it helps tell the story. And that's exactly what Jerry Goldsmith did in his music for the 1968 film Planet of the Apes. How could a composer create a sonic landscape that reflected the disorientation and eeriness of the upside-down world of Planet of the Apes? The story is what allowed Goldsmith to throw out the playbook and create an avant-garde score full of dissonance and an array of non-traditional percussive instruments. A xylophone, a vibraslap, a cuica, which is a Brazilian drumhead device with a rod inserted in the middle used to create startling ape imitations, and a stainless steel mixing bowl which Goldsmith brought from his own kitchen. One could think film composers are restricted by the fact that they write music for a story. However, I see the story as the medium that provides film composers the freedom to write any kind of music, as long as it helps tell the story. Some story may inspire a composer to write a jazz score. An orchestra score. an electronic score. And these are just 3 of countless music genres a composer can choose to help him, her, tell the story of a film. Even these 3 genres can be subdivided into other subgenres. Take electronic scores for example. They can sound like Vangelis' 80s synth keyboard masterpiece of a score for Blade Runner. In it, he utilized reverb and numerous synthesizers, most notably the Yamaha CS80, to create a sonic texture that complements the film's visionary production design. As we gaze at the spinner car flying above the city's panoramic landscape, there is a sense of levitation in the music, endowing the aerodyne vehicle with a cause and effect within the musical score. On the other hand, an electronic score can even feature that old dusty orchestra you had in your mind. In the film Steve Jobs, composer Daniel Pemberton cleverly uses electronic instruments to represent the technology and innovation surrounding Steve Jobs and Apple, while orchestral instruments complement Steve Jobs' grandeur personality. Here's Pemberton on the blend of synthesizers and orchestral music. It was quite unusual. You wouldn't think a film about technology or a technology pioneer would go for this kind of operatic score. That felt like the right thing to do. I wanted to capture Steve Jobs, who was, as he says, the conductor of the orchestra, the ringmaster of the circus. Film composers not just combine different instruments from different music genres, they also combine different music styles all together. Let's stick with composer Daniel Pemberton. In the film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, he combines hip-hop with orchestral music. The hip-hop genre represents the film's main character, Miles Morales, his world, personality, and style. The orchestra represents the superhero aspects of the film, as Miles Morales is thrown headfirst into the responsibilities of not just being a superhero, but to filling the shoes of the OG Spidey, Peter Parker. Because film music can be any type of music, it's also a great vehicle that connects you to all different genres of music. Through the score of the film Birdman, I was introduced to one of my favorite drummers, Antonio Sanchez. After enjoying Sanchez's drum-only score for Birdman, I learned that he was also a member of the Pat Metheny Group, a famous contemporary jazz band. It was a connection that I made via Birdman's original soundtrack that was my gateway to further explore contemporary jazz. Takeaway number 2. Film music is a great way to discover new instruments. Another approach film composers take is to add unusual instruments to their film scores to further help them create a sound that complements the creative vision of a film. First up, Exhibit A, Elmer Bernstein and his score for Ghostbusters, where he cleverly utilized an instrument called Aunt Martinot to enhance the film's supernatural tone.
A full torso apparition, and it's real. So what do we do?
Next up, Exhibit B. Cliff Martinez made the bold choice to use an instrument called Crystal Bouchette in his score for the film Drive. Here's Cliff Martinez on his use of the instrument. It is an art object that doubles as an all-acoustic experimental instrument played with moistened fingers on glass rods. There was little skepticism initially. It wasn't until I used it for the grand finale of Drive in the parking lot that I was convinced. I was stunned when I saw how well that a piece conceived for a romantic moment was also so effective under a scene of two guys stabbing each other to death. I love it when these rare and unique instruments pop up in my favorite film music. Not only do I discover something new, I gain a greater appreciation of the creative thinking that went into crafting the music of a film. Next up, takeaway number 3. Film music is emotional in its own and unique way. Of course, every type of music is an emotional experience. Most type of music genres tell a story in some shape or form. However, film music is emotional in a different way than popular music. Let's take for example a popular love song. So I'm sure everyone has listened to Just Like Heaven by The Cure while thinking of that special someone that makes you want to get up off your seat and just start singing the song.
Show me how you do that trick, the one that makes me scream, she said, the one that makes...
No? Just me? Now, let's look at the love theme from Cinema Paradiso. Both are centered around love, yet each evoke different emotions. It's not about one being more emotional than the other. It's about experiencing different emotions than those found in popular music. In a study called a functional MRI study of happy and sad emotions in music with and without lyrics, found that music without lyrics activated parts of our brain that music with lyrics did not. Behavioral ratings revealed that happy music without lyrics induced stronger positive emotions than happy music with lyrics. Happy music without lyrics activated structures of the limbic system and the right pars opercularis of the inferior frontal gyrus, whereas auditory regions alone responded to happy music with lyrics. Question: do you know who Jimmy Valvano is? He was a Hall of Fame college coach and one of the most inspirational sports figures ever. In 1993, Jimmy V gave one heck of an inspirational speech just months before he died of cancer. In the speech, Jimmy V said we should aspire to do 3 things every day: laugh, think, and cry. If you do that, end quote, that's a heck of a day, he said. Those words ring so much truth to me. I can't tell you how many times on a day-by-day basis, film music has been the catalyst to make me feel those emotions. And there's a pretty good reason for that. First off, film music is composed differently than popular music. Rather than using lyrics, film music uses leitmotif, which is a technique of using music to represent a specific character and/or emotion. Film composer and cool eyeglasses aficionado Howard Shore scattered with leitmotifs his scores for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. To put it in perspective, Doug Adams spent 9 years writing a book about Shore's music for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. In the book, Adams describes over 100 musical themes and motives that Howard Shore wrote for the films. But it's not just the themes and leitmotif technique that provide the storytelling and emotions. It's also the simple fact that film music reminds us of the film and stories we love. And in that process, it makes you relieve the emotions you felt when watching a film you love. There is another element in film music derived by the absence of lyrics. Film composers can only convey emotions through musical instruments. And given that their main job is to convey emotions, film composers write music in a way that aims to deliberately get a heightened emotional response from the listener. This results in different kinds of melodies, rhythms, and harmonies. And on top of that, add the fact that the instruments they might use, which some are not found in popular music, they all have distinct sound properties and qualities that can convey emotion as well. Let's take an identical melody. First, it's being performed by a trained singer.
You must remember this, a kiss is just a kiss.
Then, that same melody is now performed with string instruments. The instrumentation drastically impacts how we react emotionally to a piece of music. And as we have established so far, film music can feature different instruments than those found in popular music. And last, soundtracks are a great resource for finding new songs and new artists in popular music. Even if I still haven't sold you on original film music, you can still utilize film soundtracks to discover new songs and new artists. I'm 33 years old, and as the years go by, it gets harder to discover new music. And there's data that suggests we stop listening to new music in our 30s. In 2015, the Skynet and Ebert blog looked at data from US Spotify users and Econest. On average, teen music taste was dominated by popular music. Then, this steadily dropped until people's taste matured in their early 30s. By age 33, it was more likely they'd never listen to new music again. Based on a survey by Deezer, data also suggests that 24 is the average age of highest interest in musical discovery. At that age, 75% of respondents said they listen to 10 or more new tracks every week, and 64% listen to at least 5 new artists a month. That's the highest percentages from all participating age groups. Even though the survey showed that most 30 years old have become settled in their musical ways, it also revealed that 47% of those respondents said they wish they spent more time on music discovery. The poll participants said they were overwhelmed by available choices, demanding jobs, and caring for young children as the reasons why their music discovery entered paralysis. Finding new music is hard and time-consuming. Luckily, movie soundtracks are here to help us fight the good fight. So many talented creators are pouring years of music listening and influences into making great soundtracks for their films. Directors like Quentin Tarantino, Edgar Wright, and Wes Anderson, they are incredible music curators in their films. And it's not just the film directors, music supervisors as well. One of the many roles a music supervisor can have is to find the right song to serve the film's story. Music supervisor Maggie Phillips describes the challenges she faces. Finding a perfect song for a perfect moment takes a lot of research and a lot of listening. You don't just pick it out of thin air. For every song that you hear on a TV show, you're talking about 20 to 40 hours of listening to find it. I might listen to hundreds of songs for one spot to find one that feels effortless and perfect. I can't count how many artists I've discovered via soundtracks. Sometimes you can discover a hidden gem that catches everyone by surprise. In Kill Bill Volume 1, Quentin Tarantino introduced Western audiences to Tomoyasu Hotei's instrumental guitar masterpiece, Battle Without Honor and Humanity. Or sometimes, a classic song is ready for some polish and a new life cycle in popular culture. In Beetlejuice, Tim Burton surprised audiences by using the Banana Boat song by Harry Belafonte in a pivotal scene in the film. It not only resulted in bringing a classic back into the cultural zeitgeist, it also gave it a new meaning and appreciation by its association with the film. It's not just about finding hidden gems. In the hands of a great director and a story that's firing on all cylinders, films have the power to provide new meaning and appreciation to the songs we love the most. Wayne's World use of Queen's classic Bohemian Rhapsody introduced a new generation to one of the best songs ever written. In 1992, KIIS FM music director Michael Martin told the LA Times, "We're getting kids calling up and asking for Bohemian Rhapsody. it's a totally different audience than when it first came out. The use of the song in the film brought it back to the pop charts all the way up to number 2. A new music video with clips of the original Queen music video, and now with scenes from Wayne's World, won an MTV Video Music Award for Best Video for a Film. Queen's Brian May said when accepting the award, "Freddie would be very pleased. I think he would be very tickled by the irony that the only thing that would resurrect this is a wonderful comedy film. But I think he would have a good laugh, and it's a worthy tribute. So thanks very much to Wayne and Garth." Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel, press like on the video, and feel free to share it with your friends.